Peace be with you. Welcome to another Open the Book. Let's light our candle. At the moment, we're sharing stories about women who dared to do right. And the woman in our story in the Bible today is very unhappy because she wants to have a baby of her own very, very much. Eventually, she decides to ask for God's help. What do you think happened? Shall we find out? Let's open the book and read Hannah's prayer.
Elkanah had two wives, Hannah and Peninnah.
It's not fair.
Thought Hannah.
Peninnah has lots of children, but I have none.
It's not fair.
Thought Peninnah.
Elkanah pays more attention to Hannah than me, even though I have his children and she has none.
It's not fair.
Thought Elkanah.
I love both my wives, and I wish they could be nice to each other.
Elkanah was a good man, and every year he took all his family to Shiloh. This was a special place where they went to worship God. It was a long walk to get there.
Come on, get ready. We're going to Shiloh,
said Elkanah. The children were excited.
Can I wear my new sandals?
Can I help pack the food?
Can I walk with you, Dad?
Hannah watched Peninnah surrounded by her children and thought,
It's not fair. I want a baby of my own.
There were always lots of other families at Shiloh. They enjoyed meeting together each year. But this year, Hannah was so sad that she crept away from the others. She went to the edge of the temple and she cried her heart out. She cried and she cried. Oh, how she cried. But in her sadness, she knew it was no use thinking it's not fair. So she prayed to God.
Dear God, if you give me a son, I promise I will give him back to you for all of his life.
Now that might seem an odd thing to say to God, but Hannah truly meant what she said, and God always listens to prayers. She prayed and she prayed. Oh, how she prayed. While she was praying, Eli, the priest, was watching her. He thought she had been drinking too much wine.
Oh, no,
said Hannah.
I'm not drunk. I'm very sad. I've been praying to God and telling him just how miserable I feel because I don't have a child of my own.
Eli looked at her with his kind old eyes.
Go in peace,
he said,
and may God give you the son that you want.
Hannah stopped crying. She dried her eyes. She didn't feel sad anymore, and she said to herself,
I won't think it's not fair anymore. I will keep my promise to God if I have a son.
And she did. God answered her prayer, and she had a beautiful baby boy, whom she called Samuel. Hannah was very happy.
As soon as he's old enough, I'll take him back to Shiloh, and I will leave him there with Eli to serve God,
she said to herself.
It's only fair. God's been good to me, and I will keep my promise to him.
She loved Samuel. She washed him and fed him. She read to him and sang to him. She played with him and laughed with him. She did all the things that she'd longed to do with a child of her own. She was so happy she laughed. She laughed and she laughed. Oh, how she laughed. When Samuel was older, Hannah knew that it was time to take him to Shiloh to live with Eli and learn all about God. So the next time the family made the long walk to Shiloh, Hannah and Samuel went too. When they arrived, they were met by Eli.
This is the son that I prayed for. I'm bringing him back to you as I promised. Please take care of him.
Hannah said.
I've made you a little coat to take with you.
She said to Samuel.
And every year I'll come and I'll visit you and bring you some new clothes as you grow.
God knew that it was hard for Hannah to leave her son, but she had kept her promise. So, as time passed, God gave Hannah other children of her own to love and care for. And Samuel, Hannah's very first child, grew up to be a great man who spoke God's words to the people. Hannah sang her praises to God and no longer said, "It's not fair." Instead, she sang and she sang. Oh, how she sang. The end.
The end.
Do you sometimes say, "It's not fair"? It doesn't really help, does it? Hannah realised it was better to tell God how she felt rather than moan or complain. And wasn't it wonderful when God answered her prayer? Close your eyes for a moment and think about something that's bothering you. Perhaps if you talk to God, He could help you too. Now I'm going to say a prayer, and if you want to make it your prayer, you could say Amen at the end after me. Dear God, thank you for listening to Hannah's prayer. Help us to remember that you always listen to our prayers too. Amen.